It was a quiet evening when Emma noticed her golden retriever, Max, running toward the porch with something clutched tightly in his mouth. His tail wagged furiously, and his eyes gleamed with excitement. At first glance, Emma thought it was just another stick from the woods, but as Max dropped it at her feet, her smile froze. It wasn't wood. It was smooth, metallic, and oddly shaped, like a small capsule, covered in dirt but still shining faintly in the fading sunlight. Her heart skipped a beat. She bent down to pick it up, but a strange chill crept up her arm the moment her fingers brushed the surface. Emma hesitated, staring at the object as Max barked happily beside her. It was heavier than she expected, and a faint humming sound seemed to vibrate from within. She tried to convince herself it was just her imagination, maybe some old machine part or toy, but something about it felt alive, as if it was waiting. She carried it inside, placing it on the kitchen counter, while Max trotted proudly after her. The humming grew louder under the warm kitchen light. Emma's stomach tightened. She whispered, "What on earth did you find, Max?" The night was long and restless. Every time Emma closed her eyes, she thought she heard faint beeping sounds coming from the counter. By midnight, she couldn't take it anymore. She wrapped the object in a towel and placed it in the garage. Max whimpered as if protesting. Emma knelt beside him, stroking his golden fur, whispering, "It's okay, boy." The morning. But even as she spoke, she could feel the faint vibration through the floor. The thing was still active. The next morning, Emma took the object to a nearby vet, thinking maybe it was a tracking chip or something dangerous Max had swallowed. Dr. Lewis, the town's only veterinarian, examined it under bright lights, his brow furrowing deeper by the second. "This doesn't look like any medical device," he murmured. He held it closer to his ear, then suddenly pulled back, startled. "It's beeping, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat." Emma's face drained of color. "A heartbeat?" she whispered. Max growled softly, sensing her fear. Dr. Lewis placed the object on a metal tray and turned off the room lights. The capsule began to glow faintly blue, casting strange reflections across the walls. The hum grew into a gentle pulse, steady and calm. Emma could feel it in her chest, syncing with her own heartbeat. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Finally, the doctor said in a low voice, "Emma, I think this might not be man-made." Her breath hitched. "You mean alien?" He hesitated before nodding slowly. "I can't say for sure, but it's unlike anything I've seen." On the drive home, Emma couldn't stop glancing at the towel on the passenger seat. The object seemed to emit faint warmth, almost comforting. Max sat quietly in the back seat, his eyes locked on it the entire time. As soon as they reached home, he jumped out and stood guard by the towel, tail low but steady. Emma wasn't sure whether to feel afraid or protective. A strange thought crossed her mind. What if Max hadn't just found it? What if it had called to him? That night, Emma decided to record the object using her phone. She set it on the table and hit record. Hours passed. The video showed faint pulses of light every few minutes. Blue, then green, then blue again. But at 3:17 a.m., something strange happened. The light flickered rapidly and the object split open slightly, releasing a thin mist. Max, who had been asleep beside Emma's bed, bolted upright, ears perked, eyes glowing in the reflection of the light. He began to bark wildly at the door, as if warning her. Emma froze as the mist slowly took shape in the dim light, like tiny particles swirling into a pattern. She backed away, heart pounding, and grabbed her phone to call the vet, but the screen went black. All power in the house flickered off. The only light came from that pulsing, breathing object. Max stood between Emma and the table, growling low, teeth bare. The mist hovered for a moment, then shot upward, vanishing into the ceiling. Silence filled the room, deep, crushing silence. Morning brought uneasy calm. The capsule was sealed again, as if nothing had happened. Emma checked her phone. The entire recording from the night before was gone. Not corrupted, not deleted, just missing. The timestamp jumped from 3:16 to 3:19, with 3 full minutes of darkness in between. She drove to Dr. Lewis. Emma staggered backward, breath catching in her throat. Inside the capsule, behind the translucent surface, something alive was floating, small, curled, glowing faintly blue. Dr. Lewis stepped closer, whispering, "It's embryonic, but not like any animal I know." Max whimpered beside Emma, nudging her leg as if to say, "We need to protect it." She looked at the vet, her voice trembling. "What if Max didn't just find it, doctor? What if it found him?" Lewis didn't respond immediately. He leaned closer to the glowing capsule, his breath fogging the glass. The small creature inside twitched faintly, as if sensing their presence. "It's responding to sound," he murmured. Almost like it recognized voices, Emma felt her knees weaken. She had seen many strange things growing up in that rural town, but nothing like this. The air in the room seemed heavier, charged with a strange static. Max whined softly, pawing at the counter where the capsule rested. Emma's heart was torn between fear and wonder. What had her loyal dog brought home? A miracle or a threat? For the next few days, Emma couldn't focus on anything else. Every time she looked at Max, she saw the strange connection between him and the capsule. Whenever Max entered the room, the blue glow inside would intensify, as though the being within recognized him. Once when Emma tried to move the object to another part of the house, Max barked frantically until she returned it to its original spot. Okay, she whispered, trying to calm him. "You're the boss, apparently." The strange hum returned that night, softer now, like a heartbeat syncing with Max's breathing. One evening, Emma fell asleep on the couch with Max beside her. Around midnight, a faint glow filled the living room again. She blinked awake to see Max standing over the capsule, head tilted, eyes reflecting the blue light. The hum grew louder, more rhythmic. Then, for the first time, Emma saw it. The small being inside uncurled and pressed a tiny glowing limb against the glass. "Where?" Max responded with a soft whine, touching his nose to the surface. The hum intensified. Emma's eyes widened in disbelief. They were communicating. By morning, Emma was determined to uncover the truth. She contacted a local university's biology department, sending them photos of the object and asking if anyone could help identify it. Within hours, she received a call from a professor named Dr. Evans. His voice was steady but curious. "Miss Carter, if what you've sent me is real, you may have discovered something beyond current science. I'd like to see it, but please, handle it with care." Emma hesitated, glancing at Max. She knew he wouldn't want it taken away. Still, she agreed to meet. That afternoon, she drove to the city with Max in the back seat and the capsule carefully wrapped in a blanket. But halfway there, Max began to growl, ears pinned back, eyes fixed on the floorboard. The hum inside the car deepened. Then the lights on the dashboard flickered. Emma's phone shut off, and the engine sputtered. No, not now," she cried, steering toward the roadside. The car rolled to a stop. Max barked wildly, pawing at the blanket. Emma unwrapped it, revealing the capsule now glowing fiercely white. A faint crack appeared across its surface. She panicked. "Not here, not now," she whispered. But the capsule continued to pulse, each beat sending small tremors through the car. Max barked louder, pressing his paw gently against the crack. Then, silence. The light dimmed, and the hum faded completely. For a terrifying moment, Emma thought it had died. But then a tiny voice, no louder than a whisper, filled the car. It wasn't words, but a feeling. Calm, familiar, like gratitude. Emma gasped, clutching her chest. Max sat perfectly still, tail wagging slowly, eyes fixed on the capsule. When she finally reached Dr. Evans' lab, she carried the capsule inside like a sacred object. The professor met her at the door, his expression turning from curiosity to shock as soon as he saw it. "Dear God," he breathed, "this is alive." They placed it under a scanner, which immediately malfunctioned as the hum returned, stronger this time. That night, they decided to monitor the capsule in a secured lab chamber. Emma stayed by Max's side, refusing to leave. The hum lulled her into a half-sleep around 2 a.m. She woke suddenly to see the capsule had opened again. This time, there was no mist, only light. In that glow hovered a small, fragile creature no larger than her hand, translucent and beautiful. It drifted toward Max, touching his nose gently. A faint spark passed between them. Max wagged his tail once, then lay down calmly, as if everything was normal. Emma covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. It wasn't frightening anymore. It was heartbreakingly beautiful. By morning, the creature had vanished, and the capsule was empty. But Max seemed different. His eyes gleamed brighter, his movements lighter. Even Dr. Evans noticed. "He's changed," the professor said quietly. Whatever it was, it left something behind. When Emma returned home that evening, Max sat by the porch, staring at the sky. She followed his gaze and saw a faint blue streak vanish into the clouds. She knelt beside him, hugging him tightly. "You brought a miracle home, didn't you?" she whispered. Max licked her cheek, tail wagging softly, as if to say, "You have no idea." The days that followed were strangely peaceful. The capsule sat empty on Emma's kitchen counter, silent and lifeless now, as though its purpose had been fulfilled. But Max's behavior kept changing. He was calmer, more alert, and sometimes, when the house was completely quiet, Emma could swear she heard faint humming sounds again, not from the capsule this time, but from Max himself. It was as if the energy, the connection had transferred to him. She didn't tell anyone, not even Dr. Evans. Some things she felt weren't meant to be studied, only cherished. One evening, Emma sat on the porch watching the sunset bleed into the horizon. Max rested beside her, his head in her lap. For the first time in weeks, she felt at peace. But then she noticed something shimmering in the distance, faint blue flickers dancing in the air, almost like fireflies, except they moved in deliberate patterns. Max lifted his head, ears perked. He gave a soft bark, tail wagging, and Emma felt her heart skip. The same color, the same rhythm. It was them. They had come back. The lights grew closer until they surrounded the porch, swirling like tiny stars. Emma stood frozen, tears welling in her eyes. The energy felt warm and familiar, filling the air with a hum that resonated deep in her chest. Max stood proudly, as if greeting an old friend. From within the lights, a faint shape appeared, the small, delicate creature she had seen in the lab. It hovered for a moment, its translucent body shimmering like liquid glass. Then it drifted closer and pressed gently against Max's forehead. Emma gasped as a sudden wave of emotion washed over her. Love, gratitude, farewell. The creature pulsed once with a brilliant blue light, and for a split second she felt a whisper in her mind. He saved me. Then, just as quickly, the lights dissolved into the night sky, vanishing among the stars. The air grew still again, and Max turned to her, panting softly, tail swaying. Emma knelt, wrapping her arms around him. You saved something far beyond this world, didn't you? She whispered. Weeks turned into months. The story of the alien capsule slowly faded into a local legend. Dr. Evans kept his silence too. He had seen the impossible, and no scientific explanation could satisfy him. But Emma noticed changes she couldn't ignore. Flowers in her garden grew faster. Stray animals that wandered near her house seemed calmer, friendlier. And Max, he never aged the same way again. His fur gleamed brighter, his eyes almost human in their depth. She sometimes caught him staring at the sky as if listening to distant voices. One rainy night, Emma woke to the sound of soft barking outside. She found Max standing at the edge of the woods, staring upward through the downpour. A beam of soft blue light filtered through the clouds, illuminating the trees. Emma called out to him, but he didn't move. Instead, he turned and gave her one long, gentle look, full of trust, love, and peace. Then he stepped into the light. The beam flickered, and in an instant he was gone. Just gone. Emma collapsed to her knees, sobbing into the wet grass, calling his name again and again. But the light faded, leaving only the whisper of rain. Rain. For hours she sat there, heartbroken, refusing to believe what she had seen. When dawn broke, she walked back to the porch, and there it was, the capsule back where it had first appeared, glowing faintly. Inside, she could see a small golden tuft of fur, preserved in shimmering light. She pressed her hand to it, tears falling silently. Goodbye, my boy, she whispered. Time passed, but Emma never stopped feeling Max's presence. Sometimes she'd hear faint footsteps in the hallway at night or feel warmth beside her bed, as if he still watched over her. She kept the capsule in a glass case, untouched, its gentle light flickering every now and then, always on the anniversary of that night. It wasn't grief anymore. It was connection, a bridge between two souls, one human and one far greater than either could have imagined. Years later, when Emma grew old, the townsfolk often found her sitting by the porch, gazing at the stars. When someone asked what she was looking for, she'd smile softly and say, "He's out there, watching, my hero." And though many dismissed her as a dreamer, there were nights when others swore they saw it too. A faint golden glow dancing with the blue lights above her house, like a dog running joyfully through the heavens. And when Emma finally passed away peacefully one starlit night, the capsule in her house cracked open one last time, releasing a soft beam that rose into the sky, merging with the same blue glow that had once taken Max. Those who saw it said it looked like two souls reunited at last, streaking together across the night, leaving behind a warmth that lingered long after the stars had faded.